Welcome back to Realize Your Potential with Mike and Travis. We are so excited to have you join us for yet another episode to talk about how to put your success back in your hands. We are continuing our series on the value of help, and we are so excited to have a special guest today. Mike, I am jumping out of my seat because I cannot believe we were able to get the guest we have today. It is amazing.
Yeah, I am excited, and please don't mind the pandemic hair. For those of us whose barbers have shut down.
I had to cut mine this morning. It was a photo finish. It was a photo finish.
I started the pandemic.
Yeah, but we are.
I started the pandemic blonde, and now I'm gray. So there you have it.
There we go. There we go.
Right on. Yeah, we are super excited to have Laurie with us this morning, and I'm fired up.
Yeah, it is so exciting. Thank you, Laurie, for joining us today. We are blessed to have you as part of our show, but more importantly, we are blessed to have you as part of our life, because as we are talking about the value of help and really going out and seeking professional help, we did that with Laurie, and it was extremely life-changing for us. We wouldn't be sitting in the seats we are right now having this conversation with all of you if it wasn't for Laurie. So thank you so much, Laurie. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Yeah.
You are welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, so we're going to tell you a little bit about Laurie. Laurie is the CEO of Brain Squared Solutions, Inc. Laurie is a highly sought-after leadership and organizational development speaker, instructor, and executive coach. She has developed instructed leadership and management programs for UC Davis Extension and is an instructor and mentor coach for the UC Davis Professional Coaching for Life and Work Coach Certification Program. She is a recipient of the UC Davis Outstanding Service Award for inspiring a world of learning. She is the founder and CEO of Brain Squared Solutions, Inc., a company committed to using science to help unlock extraordinary leadership. Laurie is a master certified coach, an MCC, as we like to call him, in our world, and in the top 5% in the world of her profession. Laurie is the president of the Sacramento, California chapter of the International Coaching Federation. Laurie is also the founder and executive director of the Mind to Lead Institution of Professional Coaching. Woo! She's big time, guys. If you didn't know just by me reading that, I mean, she's appeared in over 200 national TV and web commercials and has been featured as a host on Shop NBC. But your love for coaching, Laurie, really started when you were 5 years old and you had to coach your brother about being bullied, right? So yeah. you've been doing this for quite a while. 'Cause 5, you're like 21 now. So what is that? 16?
21.
Years? Yeah, you're like
16
21
whole years.
It's like 16 years, but overall, excited to have Laurie, MBA, MCC, MCNLP. I mean, you got all kinds of acronyms behind your name. You're just an amazing, amazing person. But all of the things that she's accomplished, Mike and I got a chance to work with her for a few months. We got a chance to be in her circle, and she's a better person than all of the stuff that we read there. I mean, her best attribute is just the type of person that she is. So really excited, really, really, really excited to have you, Laurie. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Travis. Thank you, Mike. I feel the same about the two of you. I feel incredibly blessed and grateful that you were part of our program and that we got to know each other better, because I think you both are amazing human beings as well.
Yeah. Well, thanks.
Thank you.
We'll send you the $20 bills later, for saying that on camera.
I thought we agreed on 40.
40? Gosh.
Oh, no.
Extortion. We didn't tell you about that part. She's a master extorter. So Mike's going to take us through what Laurie's going to talk about today.
Yeah, so as you all recall, our previous series, we had been identifying or helping people identify sort of what their passion is or is going to be, and then we did some work around mindset and sort of, what kind of place do you need to be to start your journey. And so now we're at a place where, we're we're trying to empower people to reach out for help, and what kind of help is that, etc., and identifying people in their lives who might be able to help springboard them to whatever it is that they need to start searching out for, in terms of people with expertise to be helpful. So, um, Laurie, we shared a lot about sort of, all the stuff that you've done. And so maybe we can hear just a little bit about currently, like, what are you working on? Like, what are you doing?
Wow. I'm the type of person who has work as a hobby, so there's a lot. There's a lot that we're working on. I think what comes to mind is that I'm finally putting together a coaching toolkit for coaching conversations that will really help coaches build their tools, their techniques, their interventions that they use as coaches to keep things fresh and interesting in their coaching opportunities. Because one of the things that I find is once you've been coaching for a while, you sort of get stuck in your own patterns of being a coach, and it's not always serving the client to their highest potential. So I think we need to mix it up. I think we need to do a lot of self-reflection as coaches, and so this toolkit will, I think, help build sort of the self-efficacy and confidence in coaches to do different things and try different techniques and interventions versus what they're used to.
Mm.
Right on.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Like, Travis and I, we were talking about something some time ago around um, just something that would be helpful in the realm of our conversations around, because for us, it's about how you continue to ask the powerful questions,
Right.
right, to sort of help people bring that stuff out. So it's good to hear that you're putting something together that maybe we can take advantage of. So
Yeah.
that sounds cool.
So
Yeah.
what
I hope
got?
so.
Cool.
Go
So
ahead. Go ahead, Mike. You're up.
yeah, I was just going to start the conversation around, with her many years of experience and people reaching out to her for help, like if she can talk a little bit about her experience with that, um and yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was hoping for.
I think it's interesting. People are, it's people have a hard time reaching out for help. I think oftentimes people see reaching out for help as weakness, and they feel vulnerable when they're asking for help. And I think that, but if you look at how you grow as a human being, you don't do that alone. Everyone has people in their corner that have helped them grow. I certainly have had an extraordinary mentor, at least for the last 22 years, that has really helped me grow as not just a coach, as a professional and also as a human being. And I accredit my success, much of my success, to how she was able to help me. And I consider that, I consider that giving back. So every time somebody reaches out to help for me, I consider it as a part of my obligation to giving back to my mentor. And
Mm.
to how I like to phrase that is that we lift as we climb, right? So our
Mm.
part of the tenets of leadership and coaching is that we're really reaching down and helping others bring themselves up and build their own self-confidence and self-efficacy as we also climb and grow ourselves. And so I think it becomes an important piece, reaching out for help, just in your own personal growth. And for me, it really started with the story that I shared with the two of you about my brother. And my brother, it continues to be an inspiration for me. When we were young, he was about 4 years older than I was. And I distinctly remember being dressed as a nurse. I had a nurse's outfit on. and and my brother came home from school and he was a little, you could tell in his body language and on his face. Of course, these are words I would not have used as 5 years old, at 5 years old, but you could just tell that he was feeling a little um, dejected or rejected. And I just asked him, what's happening, and he started to share with me what had happened for him at school. And he was being bullied at school, and it was just in that moment of really just being of listening and holding space. I didn't have anything to say. I was 5 years old. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to fix his situation. But it was just amazing being able to hold that space and have him just kind of talk through the issue that was at top of mind for him that day. And I remember it bringing such an incredible, different type of bond to the two of us, where we could really talk in different ways than we had prior. And I think that that sort of stuck with me and followed me through my entire life, to where I have noticed over my lifespan how people have reached out to me to just be a sounding board. Or I'll be in the grocery store or at the mall, and somebody will start chatting with me and telling, pretty soon I'm hearing their whole life story. It's kind of like I have a sign on my back that says, "Hey, I'm a coach. I'm here to listen."
Right,
And
right.
so,
And ask those powerful
Right,
questions.
yeah.
and just, be interested versus interesting. And
Uh-huh.
so I think that
Uh-huh.
sort of
Right.
followed me through my professional career. And I started building, as I moved up through the ranks of my organizations, I started building mentoring programs for women. And because I actually grew up in a very male dominated field, I grew up in the auto parts industry, and I worked in auto parts for about 15 years. And I left that position at a vice president level, and had, prior to that, established some mentoring programs for women underneath me, because that kind of environment can be a little bit intimidating. And we also need to be able to build our own self confidence and work through those issues when we're feeling a little less than. And I think that that really set me on the trajectory of becoming a coach.
Mm.
The woman who helped me, my mentor, who helped me, actually left the field in order to become an executive coach. And exactly at that moment in time, I had been looking for myself for a mentor, somebody that could mentor me to the next level. And I didn't even really know what the word coach meant. For me, the word
Mm-hmm.
was mentor.
Mm-hmm.
And so she left the organization to become an executive coach, and I thought, wow. So I actually became her first client, one of her first clients,
That's
and she's been
awesome.
coaching me ever since.
That's awesome.
And that's sort of what led me down the path to become an executive coach myself.
Wow. So it's interesting. Someone with your resume still has a professional coach today, and you are a professional coach at an exceedingly high level. I mean, you've coached executives at Fortune 500 companies. I mean, you have an extensive career, but you still see the value of having a professional coach in your corner, and you've had it for a long time. What value do you think you get out of continuing to have that relationship with her?
Growth and self-reflection. And I think those are the two really important things for coaches to remember, is that coaching goes beyond the graduation from coach school. Your continued self-growth and the way you grow as a coach is only going to benefit your clients. And we all get stuck in patterns of behavior. And are those patterns of behavior really serving your clients still? I mean, I've got long-term clients, so we need to work together in different ways. We can't just have the same sort of formulaic process that we use around coaching. There has to be new insights, new growth, new development, new tools and techniques that we're able to use as coaches that really help foster and the insights and growth of others. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it's extremely important. And by the way, I we all have a little bit of ego. And I think coaching really helps people put that ego
Mm.
aside,
Mm-hmm.
so we can become more vulnerable human beings and really meet people where they're at. And I just think it's a continuous cycle of self-growth and self-reflection.
Mm.
Okay. So so as people reach out to you, right, and they're seeking for professional help, whether it's encouraged by their executive team, like, hey, you need someone to tell Bushu, or someone's really motivated, right? Like how, and I'm not really trying to tease out, what does that first sort of conversation looks like, right? But like I'm wondering, as you're sort of in a place to start that relationship with them, like what do you see as people's hesitancy in that conversation,
Good question.
right? Because as we're what I think what I'm trying to tease out is if we have people who are watching this and they're trying to determine, who am I going to reach out to? Like, how do I do that? I'm trying to get some of that perspective around maybe that first or second interaction around, what you're thinking and what types of questions that you're asking to sort of help them move along with actually making the decision around getting a coach.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Well, so I heard two different things. I heard making the decision around getting the coach. Sorry, this is my coaching.
Oh, I love it. Go, Laurie, go.
Yeah.
I love it.
Intervening.
In vivo experience. Let's
I love
go.
it.
So I'm looking for clarity around the question. Are you talking about the first coaching session where we're together and what that might be like for a client and how we sort of expose things and become vulnerable? Or are you talking about how does somebody come to me as a coach?
How does someone come to you as a coach, and what is your experience with that in terms of what you see from these people?
Yeah. So there are many there are many different reasons why people come to coaching. And I'm going to talk about coaching as an overview because there are many different types of coaching. I just happen to be an executive coach. There are life coaches, there are career coaches, there are a whole bunch of different types of coaching that you can seek help around. For me, if I were to narrow that down into just one bucket, it would be that something has happened. There has been some sort of catalyst, whether it's external or internal, that has shown up for somebody that has crept into their awareness that they need to change. So you talked about, is somebody sort of being led to coaching, which happens, right? Because maybe the self-awareness has not quite got to their consciousness yet, or maybe something has happened in their professional or personal life where they're like, this cannot happen again, or I need this to happen. And so there's some sort of catalyst that pushes the button that says, I need to change.
Mm.
Gotcha.
And we talked
that
about
could be a plethora of different reasons, right? But
Yeah,
that really
yeah.
is what I'm narrowing it down into its little bucket.
Yeah, and we kind of talked about 7 things that would motivate someone to understand whether they need professional help or not, whether that be coaching, consulting, therapy, and what you just talked about right now fits into that segment of 7 things to look out for. So really great to see those parallels there.
So Laurie, as you're getting clients and people are reaching out to you and you have a few sessions with them, one of the things that we're aware of when people come in to see us, what they're coming to see us about may not be what they're coming to see us about, right?
Yeah.
And so, maybe you can share just a little bit about your experience with that and maybe how sometimes you either have to refer someone to someone else because maybe there are some things going on, that maybe therapy can be helpful, or how do you continue to work with them on some things, but also, not sort of coupled with therapy or counseling or anything like that, but like maybe those two things are going on at the same time, right?
Yeah.
Based on sort of what's going on. But just talk to us a little bit about that.
Sure. I mean, I think in any coaching engagement, when a client comes in and in those first sort of conversations, they may give you a list of goals, right? A list of things that they want to be able to talk about or grow around or whatever that might be. But what I have found over the last 20 plus years is that the thing is not the thing. A client, there seems to be 5 or 6 buckets that typically clients come in and they want to be able to talk about. A big one is communication. One of them is relationships. Believe it or not, one of them is time management. And, when I think about time management, really it's not about time management. It's about something else that's underneath that's not allowing a client to, in their perception, manage their time appropriately. So that could be, I don't know how to say no, or I don't know how to prioritize my work, or I just have too many things on my plate and I might need to, like, sort of, pull some things off my plate for now. But I think it can also be, there could be, as we have conversations with clients, there could be some underlying issues that may need a deeper look with a therapist as we're coaching. And so I try to keep a plethora of experts on my team to be able to refer people to if there's things that are really holding them back, that may be caused by trauma that they're still holding on to in some respect. So I think one of the things we have to remember is that coaching is really future focused. It's focused on, what do I want to achieve? And from my perspective, and Mike, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but therapy is really looking at the root causes, right? Let's go back in history and talk a little bit about what happened in the past. And so I think both of those are equally valuable. And we want to be able to meet the client where they're at. So bringing in a team of experts or referring to a team of expert when somebody becomes extremely stuck around a topic because of things that have happened to them in their past and they can't see a way forward, I think becomes extremely valuable. And it also has to be one of the things that a coach is in tune with. What we are here to help them accomplish and what's really out of our area of expertise, because that's part of being an ethical coach.
Mm.
Yeah, and thank you so much for sharing that, because the last video that Travis and I did, we talked a little bit about, making sure that when you're reaching out to people, that they have awareness of what their scope is and where their limits are and how they can help you, and then maybe how they can assist you with looking for other
Mm-hmm.
resources if you're not that person, or it's what their needs are outside of your scope.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Well, and I do a lot of consulting. I do a lot of organizational development and consulting around that. And so you have to know too, if you have several expertise, you have to know when to apply each one of the expertise that you're looking for. If somebody comes to me for executive coaching and they want me to give them all the answers, that's not where we come from, because executive coaching is about building up, right? Building your own thinking process, your own critical thinking skills, your own way of doing things. And we all know what it's like when somebody tells us to do something versus when we come to those conclusions for ourselves. We're much more likely to take our own course of action than having somebody else tell us what to do.
Yeah. And, one of I hope as you guys are listening to what Laurie's talking about, these are great tips and great clues to understand how coaching could impact your life, or like she talked about, identifying that maybe therapy can impact your life. So please make sure that you are taking the appropriate steps to get the help that you need to be the best version of who you are. And thanks for sharing that, Laurie, because I think that was extremely insightful to when coaching could be applicable, or therapy, or anything like that. So thank you for sharing that. With that being said, I want you to speak to maybe people who are thinking about becoming coaches, right? And plug your business a little bit, because you were able to help us become professional coaches. What are some of the things that people can be looking out for to determine whether coaching may be an avenue that they'd like to take on professionally?
Yeah, that's a great question, but could I just go back just for 1 second, just to the reaching out for help, if it's okay?
Absolutely.
I I, I think the very first thing to remember is to do it.
Mm,
Is that if you're
mm,
inclined, if you feel like you're
mm,
stuck, if you feel like you need support, whatever that is, reach out to someone, and then let them help you.
mm,
Surround yourself with the right experts to be able to help.
mm,
And so I think the first step is recognizing that you need something,
mm,
and then asking for it. And I think that's the biggest hurdle that folks have, is that vulnerability of and the fear of maybe being seen as weak versus, you know what, hey, I just need a listening ear. I need some support. I don't know what to do right now. I need some mentoring. I'm interested in up leveling my skill. So, just taking those first steps and allowing yourself to surround yourself with people that can help you and support you, I think is huge.
love it. Love it.
Yeah, thank
That's
you for
awesome.
that. That's a good call out for
Yeah.
sure.
So
You
thoughts,
know,
if I want to be a professional coach, what are some of the traits I should be
yeah.
looking for? Why would I, you know, why and how, and just a general thought around that.
Well, I think, I think for me, what comes up, the biggest thing maybe to think about as an executive coach or any type of coach, I should say, is a really innate desire
Mm-hmm.
to serve others.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are some, some skills that can be learned. I truly think that we can learn, well into our 80s and 90s. And so I think there are some skills that can be learned. And I think there are some innate skills that maybe that coaches tend to have, just over my experience of, teaching coaches. The types of folks that tend to show up have that innate desire to serve. They also have a desire to um, kind of be outside themselves, right? So again, I said earlier, lift as you climb. So really looking at this as a way to support others, build their own business perhaps, but also that ability to lift others up in their moment
Mm-hmm.
of need. I think, great coaches have good listening skills.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's one of the fundamental skills of coaching. Can I listen? And not just listen to respond or listen at that surfacey level where I want to be the expert and I want to give you the answers, but really listening to what's happening underneath. What's the subcontext of what somebody else is talking about? And how do I show up as interested in that person instead of me having to have all the answers and being interesting, or being my addiction to being right and feeding my ego because I'm telling others what to do?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's really one of the things that coaches need to look at. Are you able to hold space for someone? Are you able to hold silence? Are you comfortable with silence? When, in this fast paced world that we have, we're always looking for that sound bite. We're always looking for what's next. We're always looking to share our own insights. Are you willing to just create space, to slow down a little bit, and to listen to somebody else from a really, um, yourself being vulnerable, right? From a very vulnerable level. And are you also willing to not having all the answers? Because a coaching process is a partnership. And in partnership, we help people have insights into what's best for them. Coaching isn't about giving somebody the answers. And, we all know what it's like when somebody tells us what to do, again, versus us coming to it from our own volition. We know we're much more likely to take action based on that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I really like what you said about, holding space and listening. And one of the things that you shared with me some time ago was sort of paying attention to maybe also what's not being said. But even that is sort of being in tune with the conversation and listening, in terms of what's not being said, for sure. That's what just came up for me right now.
Yeah, thanks, Mike, because I think also, when we're listening to what's not being said, do we have the courage to pull that out and put it in front of someone
Hmm.
and not be attached to being wrong? So if we're hearing something that might be underneath and we pull it out and, say, can I share what I'm hearing or can I share what I'm observing? And the client then says, well, that's not really it. Then we need to also walk away from having that attachment to being right about that.
Mm-hmm.
Because let them articulate, what is it then? What's coming up for you? Letting them articulate what it really is for them, but also having the courage to pull something up and focus on something without that addiction to being right about it.
Yeah, so powerful. And that's what a powerful coach can do for you. If you're thinking, not only about being a coach, that was great if you're thinking about being a coach, but also if you're thinking about getting a coach, that's what they should be able to do for you. All of the things that Laurie just talked about right now, and think about how impactful that could be for your life. So, thanks for sharing, Laurie. We're going to start to wrap up here, but I'd love for you to
Sure.
share with everybody. One, if you have any kind of closing quotes on the value of help and why that would be important. And two, I'd love for you to share if someone is interested in executive coaching, how could they reach out to you? And if someone is interested in becoming a coach, where would they reach out to you? Because I think you are awesome for both of those things.
I think For me, coaching is really about watching the magic of transformation. And I will never lose the passion for that, because you see it over and over and over again. And when I talk about transformation, oftentimes people think that transformation needs to be this really big, profound thing that happens. And really, transformation happens in small, tiny steps.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so impactful to watch someone else just break out of limiting beliefs, or break free of some of the fear that they've had, of the stories they've been telling themselves, around what they can and cannot do, and really transform themselves and their lives and their relationships into something that's much more fulfilling and deeper. And I think that's the power of coaching for me.
Mm-hmm.
If you're interested in executive coaching, Brain Squared Solutions, we have lots of fantastic executive coaches on our team. We do a lot of work around organizational development and leadership, because we believe in the ripple effect that leadership has. And that's what really drives us, is that ripple effect of leadership, because we know that good leaders in organizations create great teams. We know that great teams create great organizations, but it's more than that. Those great organizations, and how we feel and how we perform and how we behave, ripples out into our families, and it ripples out into our communities. And that's why we're so driven at Brain Squared Solutions to make a difference. And if you're interested in becoming a coach, then we have an organization called the Mind to Lead Institute of Professional Coaching, which is, we're so thrilled that both Mike and Travis are alumni of that program. And that's where we alumnus, yeah. I love that word, alumnus. Where you're able to become a certified coach. You get the ability to be able to be credentialed through the International Coaching Federation once you've got your hours in place. But it does give you the foundational and fundamental skills of becoming a really strong coach. And you've heard me talk a lot about executive coaching, but if I could just add one thing, it would be that all coaching is about life.
Mm.
It doesn't matter if I'm working with a CEO, a board member, a manager, a supervisor. It all comes down to how they're showing up in life. And when they can really reflect on who they are as a person, and really come to that place of service that fits for them, it transforms their relationships at work. It transforms their ability to promote. It transforms their relationships at home, and it transforms their relationships in the community. And that's what's most important for me. That's what drives me as an individual.
I love it. Oh man, so powerful. If you watch this episode, there were so many gems in it. Please rewind it, watch it. I know we tend to say that pretty often, but there are. I mean, they just have these guests that we have are amazing people who have accomplished amazing things, and there's, for most of them, it's just their will and desire to follow their passion and take all the steps necessary to fulfill that passion that have helped them get to where they are. And they've shared those things with you on these episodes. And Laurie did an amazing job of sharing a ton of that. So please, please, please go watch our videos. Mike, what should they also do? What should they always do with our videos?
Subscribe, like, comment, say something.
Share it with somebody.
Reach out to us.
Yeah, comment. And it's funny, I know I say this quite often, but we get so many texts and emails and comments on our Instagram or our Facebook or our LinkedIn, which is cool. But we would love to see some comments in the YouTube so that we can start to have, as Mike talked about a couple episodes ago, really a community of people sharing ideas and having conversation back and forth. So please, share. If you're watching it on Facebook, share in the thread. And you can still text or call me or Mike, but share your thoughts in the thread. If you're watching it on YouTube, please share in the comments. It'd be really cool and awesome to do that. As you can see, we have all of the tips from today on the screen right now. Write them down. Keep them in your book. Hopefully some of you are starting to get a realize your potential notebook with all the tips written down. But if you have one, this will be a great time to add those tips there. Also, as you can see, Laurie's information where you can reach her if you're looking for executive coaching or you'd like to become a coach is on the screen right now as well. And then, as we always talk about, Mike and I are also coaches. And so if you're looking for help, www.realizingnow.com. Maybe we can help you reach the best version of yourself, which we always hope to do. Laurie, thank you so much again for taking the time to join us. Thank you for the impact you've had on our lives. I'll never stop thanking you off camera and on camera for that, because it was truly impactful.
Don't make me teary-eyed, Travis. Get me all choked up.
Yes, Mike, we did it. That was our goal. Thank you, and we'll see you all next week.